Hello from the posh lavish digs of Mill City Roasters. I'm Steve Green. I'm responsible for everything, and my views are the official views of Mill City Roasters. If you've been researching coffee roasters and pondering the launch of a commercial venture, you've absolutely read or heard something like this. If you are even thinking about retail coffee roasting, think no smaller than a 10-kilogram machine. You'll spend more money underbuying in the long run, as purchasing a small machine will require you to replace it in short order. You'll end up with 2 roasters at far greater cost than just leaping in where you should be to start with. If you're a fan of armchair quarterbacking, the internet is your oyster, chock full of these kinds of pearls of wisdom. Amateur Entrepreneur Mistakes 101. Build it and they will come. The idea is that you should spend a boatload of money up front because starting a business is easy and your complete and total success is guaranteed. After all, we've all done the how much money you will make calculator on some of the big name websites. According to them, all you have to do to succeed in this business is put yourself on the hook for a huge piece of equipment. Buy super high quality greens for $2 a pound, pay a highly skilled operator $5 an hour, or double that big lease payment with the magic of an automatic profiling system, and you'll be rolling in dough. My answer is, in 2 words abbreviated for tender ears, BS. It just ain't that easy. If it was, we'd all be doing it and we'd all be making $3.50 an hour. Here's a clue. All journey is filled with peril. For all the people yakking about business plans and internet marketing, almost no one discusses the value of a test market, like possibly roasting some coffee, putting it in a bag, swapping it for some actual money from a real live customer, just to see if they come back, making this as good of an idea as it may have previously seemed. Now let me be clear, I have no dog in this fight. You can chain yourself to whatever size boat anchor you want if you're sure the boat will float. I'm just saying that amateurs think about spending money. Professionals think about investing it. And the first rule of professional investing is don't invest more than you can afford to lose. What that means is start with the biggest machine you can afford. If that's a Baymore, so be it. Joe Bain has launched more successful commercial roasteries than anyone since Caldi. If commercial roasting is new to you and you are not already independently wealthy, it so follows that investing in a test market 1 or 2 kilogram roaster is probably a pretty good idea. Now let me illustrate the need for test marketing and do a little bit of math. A quick, conservative, back-of-the-envelope calculation will show an average cost of inputs, that would be green coffee and bag, around $4 a pound, with a conservative blended wholesale retail sale price of, say, $10 a pound, will generate about $5 a pound gross net. Your first hurdle to commercial success is 100 pounds per week. Getting to that 100 pounds per week will require you to figure out a bunch of, according to the online peanut gallery of amateur entrepreneurs, seemingly inconsequential business details like how to navigate your local regulatory structure, where to buy greens, how to roast coffee, how to package roasted coffee, how to secure customers, how to collect their money, and how to service accounts to ensure they remain accounts. After all, if a guy comes in on Monday and actually pays for 20 pounds of coffee, that's great. You made $100. If he comes back next Monday, congratulations, you now have a business. If he doesn't, you have a hobby. The defining characteristic of a business is staple money in the door every day. It's got nothing to do with staplers. It means money for groceries like more green coffee in bags, maybe even a rent payment. Capiche? The good news is that roasted coffee is a relatively high-margin commodity, and the trend in the market is towards quality. Customers all over the world are migrating en masse away from the black tarry dreck they've been drinking to shock themselves awake for the last couple of 100 years towards the more evolved product we refer to as specialty coffee, chock full of balanced sweetness, mouthfeel, and refreshing Meyer lemon and stone fruit acidity. That's coffee. A small machine can get you to that 100 pounds a week as a part-time gig, a couple hours per night. Even at my conservative Norwegian bachelor farmer math, it looks like if I can get paid to stand at either a 1 or 2 kilogram roaster for about 100 hours, the machine's paid for. At that point, outgrowing your little roaster is something referred to in business schools everywhere as a first world problem. Moreover, if you can get to 100 pounds a week, that's 500 bones a week, $2,000 a month. That kind of cash flow represents the potential accumulation of capital that allows you to actually make some plans like buying a bigger machine, leasing a bigger space, or heaven forfend, taking a paycheck. Behold the power of the test market. Now wait a minute, Steve, that paints a rosy picture. What happens if I can't sell coffee? Back in the day, when dinosaurs roamed the earth and Newsweek was still a thing and they actually thought Donald Trump was cool, they quoted his response to the question, "Donald, how do you decide how to do a deal? What's your secret?" Donald wisely quoted a particularly insightful fortune cookie from the day before saying, "I look at the upside, I look at the downside. If I can live with the downside, I do the deal." Well, good idea, but duh. This brings us to Amateur Entrepreneur Mistakes 102, the almighty business plan. The thinking here is that prior to ever selling a single bag of coffee, you should map out your every activity and expenditure for the next 5 years to see how much money you need to borrow to think and grow rich. That means assuming things like projected sales, salaries, expenses in order to justify, usually emotionally, sinking a bunch of money into an entirely unproven venture. After all, no risk, no reward, right? Wrong. Business plans like that are an idea designed for people that work for large companies with established track records to calculate return on investment for new projects. They have scads of highly trained and experienced people sifting through years of historical data, and even then, they're probably only right about 40% of the time. But that doesn't matter because it's not their money. For the entrepreneur, a business plan is what you do when things go wrong. You'll make decisions in advance about what you'll do when you don't hit your sales or revenue projections. You'll decide how to pay the rent if someone gets sick or you lose your biggest customer. You'll also decide what your exit strategy looks like. You will do these things to guard your own heart because you are in all likelihood someday going to take a hit. And bankruptcy statistics show that panic often makes taking a second mortgage to salvage a flawed business model seem like a great idea. To be sure, there's 6 or 7 billion people in the world, and occasionally someone makes an idiotic decision that luckily turns out great. Luck happens. You will do well to be prepared for it. But luck ain't a business plan. When things go wrong, work your plan. When things go right, you have the option to change your plan. It's so simple. Even a child could do this, right? Grandpa Green, peace be upon him, used to say, "Saw slower to saw faster." In the case of a pure startup, taking a couple of baby steps before breaking into a full sprint might be a good idea. So here's Steve's 3-step deal to commercial success. 1, get the machine you can afford. 2, sell some coffee. 3, repeat. If that works, you've got a realistic basis with which to make some plans. If you get stuck at 2, sell your roaster. Small machines typically get snapped up within days for not a whole lot less than you paid for it. That's the downside to this new venture. Incidentally, and in all seriousness, things happen and plans change. Mill City Roasters sells roasters, but we see ourselves as far less of a machinery company and much more of a small business incubator. Over the last couple of years, we've helped literally thousands of people all over the world launch their businesses. We're specifically set up to help you succeed with great machinery at great prices, commercially focused education and training, on-call support, and sundry handholding. You are never a bother, and we're nearly always hanging around. Feel free to call anytime. I'm Steve Green from Mill City Roasters. Thank you, and good night.